Everybody. I am Paul DeBassio. I had a 20-year career with United Way, many years in Boston, but also with United Way Worldwide, where I was the Executive Vice President, Chief Investor Relations Officer. So that meant head of the fundraising side of things. So that's my background in United Way. In the 5 years since I've left United Way, I've been engaged with United Way Next, and it's been a great experience for me and engagement to stay connected to like-minded United Way leaders. And so I'm really honored to be serving as board chair this year, which is the 35th anniversary of United Way Next. And I'm real excited for today's session as well. Winston Faircloth is somebody I've known for many, many years. And Winston founded an organization. He'd worked at United Ways, but founded an organization called UPIC. So he was, to me, the guy that was the forefront of technology for United Way. And the fact that he's got a session called Team Love is just a really exciting, I think, viewpoint from somebody with a technology background around the importance of team and the culture that it takes to be successful as well. So I'm excited to be here and listening to Winston as well. I'll help facilitate the Q&A towards the end, but I'm going to turn it over to Winston to share today's subject.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, everyone. Greetings from Tampa, Florida. And just wanted to hop on here and thank you all for the investment of your time and how, it's the most precious thing we have. And it's a great opportunity to share a message of actually lessons learned from being a horrible leader. I would title this book Confessions of a Bad Leader, but I don't think that would be very compelling to you all. So I hope that what I do have to share, and the reason why I wrote the book, is will be helpful to you and be something that can inspire you as a leader to be better than I was mid part of my career. Like Paul, I've been part of the United Way network since 1982. I was in 3 different United Ways in the first 18 years of my United Way career. I was a fundraiser in Louisville, Kentucky. I was the CEO of 2 smaller United Ways, one in Hampton, Virginia, and then back in Lexington, Kentucky. During that Lexington part of the work, I was part of a number of national technology initiatives that were going on at the time. That really informed my desire to help found UPIC Solutions, which is a technology collaborative founded by and for United Ways. I started that organization in 2000 with some of the United Way Next members that were very active in their own communities at that time. And not because I'm a great technologist, mostly because I had a great need and I was looking for someone to kind of help us scale our work and to get it in a more affordable fashion. Did that for 15 years. And then this last third of my career has been involved as a technology consultant. I mostly work with United Ways to align their mission and their tech to their mission, more importantly, with a brief stint with FrontStream. So I heard that they were a sponsor today, and 3 years of my time I was with FrontStream as well. So what I'd like to do to kick this off today is to invite all of us to go big. And go big stands for begin in gratitude. And so if you'll just for a moment think of something you're grateful for today. And if you're willing to share it verbally, great. And if you'd like to pop it in the chat, even better. So would love to just hear something that you're grateful for today. Thank you, Paul. Grateful for your health. Opportunity to learn new things. For the volunteers we have at Next. Safe place. Oh, wow. Here we go. You guys are into it now. Look at that chat. Go. I hope you're seeing some of these wonderful posts. Beginning in gratitude is one of the ways that I, as a consultant, begin most of the sessions that I lead. And it is one of the chapters of the book. And the reason that I begin in gratitude, a group session like this, is because it really helps us become present to this moment. A lot of times, especially in Zoom meetings, we're coming hair on fire, with very little margin between session A and session B. And one of the ways this helps me as a team member is it helps me be present to the meeting itself, and also wells up in me positive emotions that can help me be a better contributor. So not only is it a participatory thing, but it also helps center me and helps me with presence. So that's why I invited you all to do that, as well as something. It's a way that I kick off most of the meetings that I do. Ivy, we are ready to jump into the presentation now. Thank you. Thank you all for all of those things, and heart the ones that you relate to in the chat. That'd be great. So as I said, Team Love, 28 Ways to Demonstrate Caring at Work really came out of a season of not being the best leader that I've ever been. One where I was really kind of mystified as to why I was dissatisfied in that season towards the end of my season at UPIC. I was really frustrated and dissatisfied as a visionary leader. I was really disconnecting from the team, and I was really challenged to not derail and wreck a culture. And so the name of my company and this book is really more of a gift back as a visionary leader to other visionary leaders, but also as a way of making amends for being not the best leader at a part of my career. So why don't we talk about why I think this is an important concept at this point? Next, please. So let's talk about the leadership moment we're in. And I would say post-pandemic, I think a lot of this has been going on, but I think it is still true today. Yeah, our teams are exhausted. United Way is undergoing so much change, and in many ways for the better, but it's still with change and all the different things that are coming at us as nonprofit and United Way leaders. It's been a very difficult season for us. Turnover and burnout is rising, and especially if you think about people who've been with us under 5 years. There's a lot of turnover in that group. It seems like if you can get to a certain point in your United Way career, you can really thrive and continue for a very long time. But there tends to be a lot of turnover in our less tenured team members. Yeah, having hybrid work is a real blessing to many of us, but how do we manage that team connection has been a challenge. And then, as you think about the generations of leaders that were within our organizations today, there's a different expectation for authenticity and care in terms of how our team dynamics work. If you'll, next one, please. So I am a person who believes today, this would not have been true of my early leadership days, but I'm a person today that believes that love is the way we build our legacy, because of the way it builds trust and creativity, boosts retention and morale, and how it amplifies that visionary leaders' drive and desire, but also amplifies the mission impact. And I would say this is not just a feel-good strategy, it's more of a strategy of building teams that last. Let's go to the next one. So today, what I want to cover with you quickly, and this is, while there feels like a lot of slides, we're going to go through them pretty quickly. We're going to talk quick, first about 3 leadership types. I'm going to ask you which one you might identify with the most. I'm going to talk about 3 levels of love. A moment of clarity, which was that moment, that crossroads moment for me in my leadership journey. I'm going to share some team love examples and then ways you can help. This book is really designed, and I was saying this before you all joined. I was sharing it with the internal team at Next, United Way Next. My goal for this session today is that you will share stories with me and with us that I can add to this book. I'd really love to crowdsource direct stories of how you have shown and demonstrated love within your teams. I'd love to incorporate it into the book. I've got about a third of it to go, and I'd love to add more relevant stories from you all out in the field who are practicing these techniques and these examples on a day-to-day basis. Next one, please. So I'm going to propose that, well, actually, my mentor, Dan Sullivan, talks about how any great team needs 3 different types of personalities or leadership types to be successful. And I'd ask you all to look, and I'll explain what these are, and then we'll ask you in a moment which one you most identify with. So there's the visionary leader, and Dan would say this is the person that likes to make things up. They love ideas and they love solving big problems. They've got more ideas than bandwidth. They see a gap and they fill it quickly. These leaders are often at the helm of the organization, but they also exist in many departments and other line responsibilities within the organization. The transforming leader, Dan would say this is the person that makes it real. They can take a visionary idea and convert it into real plans. They can take something that's amorphous. They can take something that's a little squishy and they can make it tangible. And one of the things that's true about transforming leaders is they love variety. They love taking that project and converting it into something tangible, but please don't ever make them do that project again. They like to do it once and be done and structure it and pass it on its way. And then the third type of leader is someone who loves to optimize. This is the make it up, make it real, and make it repeat. Optimizer is the team member that loves to make it repeat. They cannot stand loose ends. They want it really tied down. They want to make it better and better and better. And so this is the type of leader who will take something that exists and keep improving it and never ending improvement. This is what really makes them go. So Ivy, we're going to put up on a quick poll and see which one you might relate to the most. Again, most leaders have all 3 of these in your toolkit, but there's one of those, make it up, make it real, or make it repeat, that you probably gravitize to the most. So
And
let me see what you think.
Yep, it looks like about 60% of people have already answered, so I'll give it a couple more seconds. If anyone else wants to get your answers in, it looks like 80% have participated, and it looks like there's a pretty good variety between all of them, so I'll share the results in just a moment.
Great.
Any last minute submissions? Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Well, this is a great spread. By the way, what Dan shares in his experience of working with so many organizations around the globe is that that transforming skill is one that's pretty rare. It takes somebody with a lot of context, a lot of history, a lot of organizational skills to do that. So I'm actually quite pleased that we have so many transforming leaders on the call today. I'm going to give all of you all, if you are transforming and optimizing, I'm going to give you some tools that you can lead up to your visionary leader and hopefully help them be more helpful to you in doing your two roles. But I also say that this book is designed to speak to the visionary leader and hopefully prevent them from doing what I did to my team as a visionary leader. All right, thank you for that poll, and thank you for your participation. So in terms of the next slide, I'm going to talk about from a visionary leader's perspective, especially a founder, someone who's starting something new. And this was my journey in UPIC. So when I started UPIC in 2000, I did it out of a tremendous need that I had in Lexington for access to both cutting edge technology and, more importantly, the talent to make that happen. We were a small United Way. We had, I think, 14 or 15 people that worked in our organization. We had one guy that knew how to turn on the AS400, which was back in the day, the way our systems were run. And when he had a heart attack, we had no one to turn the system on or really manage it well. And so I was struggling, and I ended up reaching out to my sister United Way in Cincinnati, who had the exact same systems that we did. And we asked them to help us bridge that gap while our person was out with a heart attack. And so that spurred in me a desire to have an organization that could not only solve that for us in the Bluegrass, but also solve that for other United Ways. And so I would consider myself fundamentally a visionary leader. I love filling a gap, solving big problems, and I loved innovation. Now, as a visionary leader, I could do that all day, every day. And I could come up with lots of ideas. I had more ideas than bandwidth, and that could wear out your team very easily. But I quickly moved out of that ideation stance, and I then became a person who really loved my clients. I used to say, I love the ones who pay for the work that can bring our vision to bear. And so a leader who is client-centered loves those who benefit from the work. And as a former fundraiser, I love the people that would give us money for this work. It was very easy for me to do that. Now, the downside of my leadership experience at UPIC was that I overemphasized my love of both vision and clients. And what that caused for our team was that I would often take the client side whenever we got a challenge. I would take the client side and trying to resolve it, trying to figure it out. And I wasn't as responsive or as sensitive to the team members who were actually responsible for fulfilling the vision. And and this became the source of significant cultural challenge. It became it certainly, people felt like I was micromanaging them or dismissing them or other things. And so I couldn't figure out why for the longest time that I was really struggling as the leader and why the team was struggling. And it wasn't really until after I left UPIC that I was able to kind of pull this together. And so I feel like many of us who lead organizations can feel a tension between these three. But today I'm solidly in the people first culture standpoint, because as a visionary leader, the more I love the people who fulfill the vision, the more they can love on the clients, the faster they can accelerate the vision. So it's almost an inverse pyramid for me these days as a visionary leader. All right, let's continue. The next one. So this was the moment of clarity for me. I was balancing solving big problems with clients who could benefit versus the team bringing the ideas to life. And it wasn't until after I left UPIC that I realized that I had been caring more for our clients than the people bringing our vision to life. And so that set me on a journey of, as I left UPIC and started my next season of my career, I started gathering and curating ideas from all these different sources that I thought, this could actually help build a people first culture. Next one, please. So for me, it took a season of reflection and gratitude and slowing down to get off that hamster wheel of leadership so that I could actually see soberly the culture I had built initially, the culture I had wrecked later on. I'd gotten, honestly, just to be transparent with you all, I'd actually gotten to the point as a visionary leader that I thought my people were the impediment to our vision. That's a horrible thing to say and so wrong-minded, but I think it's easy for visionary idea leaders to do. I think it is not uncommon. I'm probably not alone in that regard. So, so my book is a plea to other visionary leaders to go down that path, but also to provide some practical curated ideas and crowdsourced ideas that can help you at your team. So the same passion that helped me build UPIC nearly broke me. And yet it became the seed for something I hope will be redemptive and something that is positive. All right. So let's talk about the themes of the book in the next slide. I really feel like the book is evolving into 3 different themes. One is around clarity, especially role clarity. Second set of themes around care. And then the third set of themes around culture. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the clarity part because this is where, if you're leading up to a visionary leader, or you are a visionary leader and you're running into some of this stress, it can help all of us. So with that, let's talk about some of the chapters, some of the ideas. By the way, I have shared these first 8 chapters, first draft chapters of the book in podcast form. And so if you are interested, you're an audio person, these chapters are super short, maybe 5 to 7 minutes long. That's the intent of the book, is to, and I'm not holding these up as the only ways we can demonstrate caring at work, but they are thought experiments. They are curated from my clients and my own experience. So you do have you'll have access to these first 8 chapters via podcast and also on the blog at my website. So, but I'd like to spend a moment on the first 3 of these because I think these can really help us as leaders, especially visionary leaders, really demystify some of the delegation process. And so start with a compelling why. Actually, I feel like the first 2 things are the leader's job. They need to posit, they need to put out first drafts for this. But so if you're a visionary leader, you have more ideas than bandwidth, what's a tool that can help you not overwhelm your teams with all these ideas? And so normally what I do, so a compelling why gives people the underpinning and gives them the purpose for why we're going to take on any initiative. True confession, as a visionary leader, I've worked with a person who really was that transformative team member. And so whenever she and I were working together, for a while, when we first started working together, I would just delegate tasks. I'd come up with projects, I'd hand them off to her, and then we'd do a debrief session, and she would ask a number of clarifying questions, but she'd always ask the why question to me. And being full of ego and full of vision, I got really frustrated with that. And she, one day to me, she said, Winston, there's a reason I asked you the why question. And it's not because I'm trying to be disrespectful or questioning the purity and glowing nature of your ideas. She said, if I understand the why, I can anticipate what the project needs and I can bring my best creativity and innovation to the project. And when she told me that, I was on board from that moment forward. I never took that question as anything other than bringing out the best in my team member by giving her a why that she could really hang her hat on and it could be helpful. Now, part of that why, I think, also includes why we should take action now and why, if we don't take action, there are significant consequences. A good why answers both of those questions because it isn't just because I came up with the idea or anything else, but a compelling why has those two features: why we should take action now and why, if we don't take action, it could be a challenge. Defining clear success, that why matched up to a series of what statements. What does our goal line look like? What are those milestones look like? What does success look like? If I, as the leader, can articulate those two things with clarity and then engage my team in making those even better, the discipline of doing those two things alone will limit the number of ones I might bring forward to the team. So as a visionary leader, I might have 7 or 8 competing ideas that I might want to pursue. But doing these first two things can actually help me choose between those 7, which one needs to advance and which one doesn't. But in doing both of those, the team members can come back and contribute a lot and make both of these products even better because they're bringing their expertise to it. Where I see too many visionary leaders derail a project is that they get into the how. And sometimes they're coming at it from a good place and good perspective because they may even have relevant experience with the how. But oftentimes we're too far away from the action to really know what's going on and what's needed. And oftentimes the kinds of things we would do are too complex or too complicated. The people closest to the action really does that. So as a leader, I really tell visionary leaders to stay out of the how. It's important that you stay out of that because you have a hard enough job doing the first two sometimes. Do it well so that your team can really bring their best to that. So, so those are 3 examples of how delegation can really be structured in a way that isolates the visionary leader to what they do best and brings in that optimizing team member. They can really take both those success measures and the how measures and really make them well. I find that transforming leader is super important in that what stage, because they are taking that why and can really make it very tangible to the team. So these 3 kind of line up to those 3 team members as well as to where they can make strong contributions. Some of these other chapters of the book here in the early podcast stage, I'll just share one that I think is you may find helpful. A couple of these are helpful. Clarifying communication channels. Raise your hand if you have a hard time keeping up with, was it in email? Was it in chat? Was it in voicemail? Was it in where are we storing it? All of that. Do I have to be in email all day long to be responsive? Could we decide that email is really designed for internally for longer, could be in a way that I don't have to be in email all day long. So for example, one of my clients uses, they use a process where the Teams chat is designed to say, are you interruptible? The email is not going to be responded to in terms of it's considered next day response is fine. And then if you got 2 phone calls in a row, that's like hair on fire, please respond right now. I mean, that's how one of the clients I've worked with have kind of structured how they use the channels and how they want to engage in terms of urgency versus whenever you can get to it. So, and then 8 is another fun one where one of my clients, how many of you just have too many back-to-back meetings in your United Way day? And so this client has really ruthlessly gone through their recurring meeting schedule, and they not only are looking more holistically at who we invite, for what purpose, and do we use meetings for updates, or are we using meetings for decision making? And every quarter or 6 months, they just take all the recurring meetings off the calendar and they have to re-justify why they're there, the duration of them, and who's included. So it's something that we just get into this habit of more and more meetings. Next slide. We'll give you some of the other chapters that are underway and working out. Beginning gratitude, we just got to experience. Email-free weekends, please. If you are a leader, there is such a button as called schedule email. And one of the things we can do to really help our team members disengage from email, as a visionary leader, I may come up with a brilliant idea on Saturday at 4 o'clock, but I don't have to send that to my team member. And more importantly, when I do send it to them, I have derailed their rest and renewal over the weekend. I'm not doing them any favors, just getting it off my plate. And so some organizations have an email-free weekend consideration. Now, you can train your visionary leader too on that by just not responding on the weekends. Now, I know that's harder to deal with some visionary leaders than others, but these are all small steps that can help us have a more healthy and robust culture. Measure backwards, for example, is one where in goal setting and in achieving goals, if you think about what brings you the most progress, it's if we're always measuring to the future goal, we create a gap between where we are and where we want to be. And that isn't all that motivating. But if you want to really measure your progress, look at how far you've come. And so it's a way of building momentum is to look more backwards as to how far we've come as opposed to how far we've got to go. And then the last set of chapters that we're working on is next one. Oh, the freedom of free days. So the same mentor that I shared a while ago, one of the things he believes in terms of rest and renewal is a free day. Free days are a 24-hour period where you don't read work things, you don't open work applications, and you just stay away from work-related activities for the day. Now that can be super difficult for us who feel like we're overwhelmed with the workload and everything else, but he talks about how renewing it can be to have at least a 24-hour period of non-work related activities. And that means reading emails, thinking about emails, thinking about next week's meetings, getting set up for the next, sprint, etc. So So here, and one more slide will give you some of the outline of the book that we're working on as we go. But I'm very willing to replace many of these chapters. I love keeping a beginner's mind chapter. It's can be challenging for us who have been in this work for a while to remember what it's like to be a beginner. And yet it's the beginners who often have the greatest breakthroughs that they can bring to a project because they have a fresh set of eyes. And the converse of that is that sometimes in our organizations, we're so excited to welcome our new team members. We give them the social media post, we welcome them. But then in our organization today, we have long-term loyal team members who've done work year in and year out. And sometimes in our excitement to welcome new people, we forget and we don't recognize the ongoing contribution of loyal team members. And so I think balancing both of those can really help build a strong and thriving culture. So finally, I just would like to prompt a couple of different ways that you can help make some of this work even better. And again, we're looking for, next one, please. We're looking for some ideas from you all. I'm looking to crowdsource more stories that can replace some of these chapters, or maybe we go to 30 or 32. I picked 28, by the way, because this came out of a blog series I did over Valentine's month a couple years ago. And so I wrote a blog post, one for every day. And what you see there is the chapters that I did in that blog series. But I'm always looking for better ideas. And so I'm looking for your help in crowdsourcing times your team showed up for one another, practices that help your team reconnect, a small act of leadership love that made a big difference. Next one. Leader who turned a mistake into trust. Creative ways to renew teams and small acts of love with big impact. So here's how you can connect. Next, the last slide. So I have a page on my website, forteamlove.com. For Love of Team, sorry. For loveofteam.com is my website, and the URL is Team Love. And you'll just see a very simple sign-up page that you can be included in the journey. I'll be dripping out some of these podcast episodes there so you can listen to them at your leisure. We'll be sending them out about once a week. It's a place that you can share. So that's one way you can be involved, is check out the podcast and check out some of the initial chapters. We'll send them to you. If you have a story or leadership practice, I would love to hear those. And if you're interested in the book when it comes out, you'll be part of the launch list for early access and a bonus guide. But I believe that I was a pretty good leader most of my United Way career, and yet I saw how not having a people first culture can really derail the mission and the impact that we can have. And so our legacy as leaders isn't what we build, it's who we build it with. And that's something I believe is so important for all of us as leaders, especially in a helping organization like United Way. So we'll pop up the URL one more time. Oops. For resources and free chapters of the book. For loveofteam.com/teamlove is where you can get it. So now I'd like to end the presentation and just have a chat about some of the concepts or some of the ideas that you'd like to share.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to help facilitate people's questions, and so either raise your hand through the through the site here, or even type in a question. I'll be monitoring those as well. But I don't mind starting off, because Winston, one of the things that when I was at United Way Worldwide, I was identifying the high performing United Ways and trying to identify what's the secret sauce. And one of the things you said at the outset of your presentation was doing these things is building teams that last. And that was the secret sauce. What I found was United Ways that kept their team together over a longer period of time really were the ones that were high performing. And what I saw were typically that leader had that understanding of what you're trying to do and teach us here, right? That team love, that team culture comes first. You gave us one great example as a visionary leader of how somebody was I guess, messaging up to you saying, hey, I need the why, you know? For folks who are on this call who aren't maybe the leader, how do they manage up to their leader, regardless if they're a visionary leader or not? I mean, that one example of asking for the why, but is there another lesson there that you think maybe for folks to say, here's what you need, so here's what you should say, or how you say it to that leader? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think most leaders really want to mentor and steward their team members. They want, if you're helping me accomplish what I want, I need to be a leader that's open and willing to receive feedback and criticism. And so, I will say that when Amanda first shared that with me, I gritted my teeth at first, but after a moment of reflection, I could see that was the rocket fuel she needed to be at her best. And ultimately that was what motivated me, because I want her to do a great job. We pick our team members for a reason. You think about the selection process, the recruitment, the retention process. We pick our team members for a reason because they have great contributions to the work that we do. And that's why I urge visionary leaders to stay out of the how, because A, you don't know what you're talking about. And B, this is why we have the teams that we do. They bring a diverse set of experiences, life experiences, professional experiences, points of view. Why would we ever want to dissuade that from being part of the solution? And so, sometimes you have to appeal to the visionary leaders' need to see progress and see those ideas come to fruition. And that's what Amanda was doing with me fundamentally. She appealed directly to my need to see progress and to see a visionary idea come to fruition. And it made it very easy for me to receive it in that context.
Great. So I think for everybody listening, it's you have great contributions, so don't be afraid to speak up. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling like you need to get to the leader, don't be afraid to have that conversation. I think you're right, Winston. Leaders typically will want to hear that. Great. So who has questions for Winston?
Oh, and now there's a question about where's the link for the book. You're not going to find it on Amazon. This is something I didn't share. I started writing the book last fall, and I was my intent coming into this session when I scheduled this was to have a book ready to give to you all and put it in your hands. But I had a season of taking care of my father. I was with him for 6 months until he passed in April, and part of this transformation of my heart was being able to be by his side for 6 months and going to Virginia and to really learn even more lessons by walking beside him during those 6 months. And so it was always the intent to use this session to crowdsource more stories. I'd hope to be a little further in building the book and having it ready. But I actually think it's been a blessing to be here at this stage of working on it, because your ideas and your contributions can make this product an overall better solution for those who might want to pick it up and read it.
Don't be shy. If you've even got a comment or a thought you want to share, please feel free to unmute and do so.
I see Barbara Edmonds has typed in an idea for folks to consider, right? Starting a staff meeting with each sharing a celebration moment, either something at work that's work related or personally, right? So celebration, I think celebration of wins is that showing the progress type things if it's work related, but also showing people are important in even in their personal life if there's a win or something they want to share, a celebration. I think that's a great suggestion, Barbara. Thank you.
I'll say the other thing I'll say about the chapters of the book, these are written in kind of a fable format. So we tell a story and then tell the lesson behind the story. So each one of the chapters is written in that way. Not meant to be an instruction manual or a how-to manual, but more just to take you on a journey of something you might want to experiment with.
I will
Any
add
other-
in quickly, as a neurodivergent individual myself, both autistic and ADHD, the piece that you said on the why, I resonated wholeheartedly with. I am very much somebody that asks a lot of clarifying questions. And when I do, sometimes it can definitely be taken as like either me being disrespectful or not acknowledging like somebody's leadership or position over me, when in reality it's just like I can just move forward if I know the why. Like if I'm asking like, oh, well, why did you do it that way? It's not because you're doing it wrong. I just want to know.
And it's important. This is how we draw out the best from all of the folks we're surrounding ourselves in a team, right? Knowing who they are, what they need for success, the kinds of supports as well as praise that is important for them. One other chapter deals with the timing of meetings, recognizing that we have early morning people and we have night owl people, and how often the visionary leader is scheduling recurring meetings right at the prime time of either one of those groups can really derail our progress. And so, these are small little things, but if you deal with them intentionally, can really unlock a lot of potential within our groups.
Any other comments?
I'm just going to comment about the building momentum, that we start by looking backwards and how far we've come. And I just really appreciate that. I think, in any organization where we've all worked in so many different organizations, myself, having a career that spanned from banking to higher education to nonprofit. And I often felt like we've just hit the ground running and we're going so fast. We never take the time to pause and acknowledge. And I try to do that, but I feel as though sometimes I'm still really focused forward versus just taking a moment to celebrate the wins. And so even Barbara mentioning at the staff meeting to say that, like, what can we celebrate is so important. And I think that especially in nonprofit, that spans across the board, as well as your volunteers and your staff, that everyone should be thinking about that, because we tend to be so driven for results that we forget about the celebration. So
It's such a good point, Carol, because not only does the celebration provide a marker for us, it provides this moment in time that we're celebrating, but we can also capture lessons learned at the same time that can be very productive for our future projects. And so we need more celebration in the United Way. I mean, you guys do incredible work. Even though I'm adjacent to the United Way, I watch you, and I so appreciate the work that you're doing. And it makes my heart super happy. There was a question here about strategic planning. Yes, I do help people with strategic planning. I use a framework called Compass that helps United Ways with their strategic planning efforts.
And one of the things that I also included in the chat is, in addition to whether or not Winston did strategic planning, we have recently launched our consultant collaborative, and we do have a consultant directory of United Way current and former professionals that do a wide range of consulting. And while we don't have a direct link to that directory at this exact moment for you guys, you can reach out, and Carol is more than happy to send over some recommendations. So I believe, Winston, you are a member of our consultant collaborative as well, one of the founding members. And to speak to an earlier point that you guys made, I was going to chime in and just say, I had a supervisor that before each of our I would say staff meetings, but we were college students, we were RAs, and we did highs and lows. We always went around the circle to do highs and lows, so that we could kind of celebrate, but also do something that our DEIB work group kind of does. We always share how we are like walking into our meeting. So in that instance, the lows kind of really framed like what we might be going through, or something we might be struggling with at that time, or might impact how we're showing up to work. And for neurodivergent individuals like myself, knowing that that would be the question that would be asked at every meeting, I could always prepare for it, versus some other workplaces that like don't tell you in advance, and you just know there's always going to be some random question or icebreaker when you get there, and then you're just anxious the whole time.
Ivy, I've made it my practice to ask the go big question every time I do a group meeting, just because of what I said at the beginning, because it makes people more present, brings a positive energy into the flow of the meeting. And I'm always surprised what people are grateful for. There's always something I can build off of and take into my heart. So I love people who are consistent with icebreakers. I think that's a great way to go. One last thing I'd just say, you all are here because you have a heart for others. It's why you do the work of United Way. As visionary leaders and leaders of teams, it's important to remember that's true for everyone that's in your group. And it's also important to remember that that's a way that you can help build a people first culture as well. Taking some of these experiments, try them for 6 months. One thing I talk about when I'm leading leadership teams is say, try something for 6 months. You're not committing to it forever. We're going to iterate. We're going to try it out and see if it makes a difference. And so I'll offer all these ideas in that spirit.
That's great. Other thoughts? We're seeing some emojis. Barbara's got her hands clapping up at the top. Excellent session. So Paul, before we turn it back over to staff, do you have any words that you want to wrap up today?
I just want to say thank you to Winston for your time and transparency and honesty with your own journey into leadership and defining a people first culture yourself. I think it's just a great lesson for those that were able to join us today. So thanks for all of you who did join us and had the opportunity to hear this firsthand. I know some folks will be listening to this via the link that will be sent out after. So so hopefully people have been able to hear this message as well. But so thanks again, Winston, really appreciate it. And then Carol, I'll turn it back to you. I know we've got a couple upcoming sessions and some other quick things to close out with. So
yeah, well, I just want to say thanks to Winston. This was an excellent session, and just is such a great reminder of the importance of building the culture within and celebrating the wins. And so it came at the exact right time. So thank you, Winston, for sharing that. And to Paul, as our board chair, he's wrapping up his term as our current board chair. He's just put in a tremendous amount of work and effort. And so we are so grateful to all of our volunteers who helped make United Way Next what it is today. And lastly, I just want to say thanks to Ivy Cirillo. We couldn't put together these professional development learning sessions for all of you without the support of our staff, and especially Ivy and her team. And I want to give a shout out to the team at Dane County. For those of you who don't know, Christy Shepard is on with her team in Madison, Wisconsin. And it's a great example to all of you that the next time we have another session that is appropriate for your team, invite them and be in the room and celebrate them in that moment, right? That would have been an excellent way. So Christy, you're modeling that for us and I love it. So Ivy, I'll turn it back to you and you can bring us home.
Awesome. Yeah, so just a couple of things. Like I mentioned, I will send you guys out the replay, the resources, all of the things. We've got a couple of events left for this year. There is a special consultant collaborative social hour if you're part of the collaborative on 11/5. On November 6th, we've also got another event coming up, a couple in November, a couple in December, and then we are done for the year with our 35th anniversary social hour on December 11th being the last one for the year, I believe. And then lastly, we just want to do a special thank you again to our event programming sponsor, FrontStream.
Thanks, Ivy. Thanks, everyone. It was great to see you.